Hello, everyone, and thank you for staying with us at Africa Simplified. My name is Emmanuel Osai. I'm lecturing religion and politics in the Global South here in the School of Global Affairs at Lancaster University. It is always good to come back on the channel with a conversation like the one that's about to happen. It is about peace building in northern Nigeria, a part of Africa that has received some attention, of course, in the past few weeks and months and years because of some happenings. But I'm actually joined by a group of special guests and experts and peace builders who've actually been doing excellent work to help promote peace, build very effective systems that would sustain safety and peace and development in parts of the country, especially Plateau State, where they are operating from. So they are members of the Plateau State Peace Building Agency. And we are going to be finding out about them shortly. So they will tell us who they are, and we could, of course, spend some more time thinking about key issues as they relate to Plateau State and the organization, as well as the Nigerian states and Africa. So thank you for joining us. I would start with Mr. Pomak Manji. If you could just tell us who you are, what your role is, the agency, and then we could go around the team as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good morning once again. Well, my name is Pomak Manji Maika. I'm the Senior Administrative Officer of the agency. I also play human resource functions as well, and also assist the post-conflict rehabilitation and recovery unit of the agency. So I'll call on my colleague to also introduce himself.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me this moment. My name is Salis Bashir Jibril, the team lead of our interfaith unit of Plateau State Peace Building Agency, also a member of our mediation and dialogue unit of the agency, ICT unit, peace education unit, monitoring and evaluation unit of the agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am Kaze Joy Akube, working with the Plateau State Peace Building Agency as a team lead in peace education unit and also program assistant with the strategic communication unit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Mohammed Aminu Shoaibu. I'm the team lead mediation and dialogue unit with the Plateau State Peace Building Agency. I also work under the strategic communication units for monitoring and evaluation, post-conflict rehabilitation and recovery. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. My name is
Hello.
Celestina Avizabi. My name is Celestina Avizabi Christopher. I work with the Plateau State Peace Building Agency. I am the personal assistant to the Director General, and I am under the Gender and Youth Development Unit, amongst others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. My name is Gladys Egmont. I'm the team lead security of the agency and I work as a security liaison.
Thank you very much. It is awesome to meet you all. And I'm very pleased to be having this conversation with yourselves, not just because your organization is a very significant one, but because yourselves, I've just listened to what you said, and I've read about you before this event, and I thought, wow, this is amazing work that each of you doing, and it's wonderful. So I know that the agency was established in 2016, and Mrs. Julie Sander is the Director General, and she's working, of course, with yourselves and others within the organization. Would you like to just tell us briefly what it's been like for yourselves, being a part of this agency for the period of time you've worked? Do you think you're very happy with the work you've been doing, with what you've achieved, with the importance of the outcomes of your implementations? Overall, what's like your assessment of it? This is a bit of a big question to ask, I think, but just let us know how you're feeling inside being a part of this agency.
Okay, maybe I will start, then my colleagues will add up to it. Well, for me personally, it has been a very interesting journey. Why is it interesting? Because looking at the impact the agency have made, yes, like you rightly mentioned, the agency was established sometimes February 2016, and we just did our 10 years anniversary. Yes, 10 years of impacting life, 10 years of reaching out to local communities. And if you see how the success stories that we have harvested during this 10-year anniversary, even before then, it will attest to the fact that the agency have impacted a lot. You mentioned our DG, Dr. Julie Sander. She's the second DG. We had the first Director General, who is Dr. Joseph Lengman, who headed the agency for 7 years before he transited to another organization. You know, leadership is all about transition. You know, handed over to Dr. Julie Sander, and believe you me, she's making good strides. You know, and all these giant strides which the agency have made, we have recorded it, and a lot is also on our, you know, we have a social media handles. We also have websites where we put reports of activities we have implemented and also some success stories we have harvested. For me, it has really been an interesting journey. Thank you.
I can imagine.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And again, to add to that submission made by my colleague, it's actually a personal development opportunity for being in this agency. Anybody that found himself in this agency is actually here to benefit. It's not just about touching lives or impacting communities. It's again about building self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, because of the capacity that the agency is impacting on its staffs. So for me, I feel highly honored to be in this agency. While I am touching other people's life, I am also equipping myself to becoming a better version of myself for me to be able to contribute meaningfully to the society at large. Thank you.
Amazing.
So for me,
yes, please.
So for me, I can say the agency is the best place for me to be at the moment. Of course, naturally, I'm the kind of person who like impacting lives. So the agency has given me the support, the platform, the capacity, like to do what I want to do in life. So there are a lot of capacity development initiatives at the agency, which I took advantage of, and also having opportunity to go down to the grassroots communities impacting life, for me, is a good experience for me.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I could, of course, respond to a lot of what you've said, because I've taken quite a lot from your responses: impacting lives, building peace, helping to mediate, to establish connections between people. A lot of it that is happening. The websites and the social media handles that you just mentioned as well. I think that's very important, because I've gone through your website, and someone could actually spend an entire research project based on what's available on your website. It is sophisticated, so to speak. It's excellent, especially if you compare it with some of the other websites that I've come across. So it is very good. And based on that, I found out you have several units on mediation, on security, gender. So just some more comments maybe on this unit. So which of this would you say perhaps is the most active, if that's the right term to use, or where do you deal with the most cases, if we can think about it like that? So do you have more issues to deal with in mediation, for example, or issues related to gender, or issues in the security unit, or what would you say?
Well, To respond to that, I want to briefly highlight, like the organogram of the agency for more understanding. Then since I have a couple of team leads with me, I think it's best if everyone speaks to his work, which will give clearer understanding. Yes.
Okay.
So the agency, the Plateau State Peacebuilding Agency, is directly under the office of the Executive Governor of Plateau State. That means the Director General, Dr. Julie Sander, reports directly to the Executive Governor, right? Under her office, we have 4 departments. That is, we have the Department of Finance, we have the Department of Internal Audit, we have the Department of Administration, and we have the Department of Programs. So what that entails is one department out of these 4 is administratively, because I come from an administrative background, we call them the core staff, which are the programs people. That is people that are always on the field. Then 3 departments, which is the administration, audit, and finance, they are now the support staff. So the nomenclature doesn't in any way undermines anybody's work. What means is that all these departments complements each other.
Okay.
So under the administrative department now, we have the security units, because under each department we have units, sub-units under. We have the security, we have the ICT, we have the strategic communication, and we also have common services. That is like our drivers, cleaners, etc. And under the finance, we have the procurement is there, the store officer is there, the cashier is there, the accountant is there. And then the internal audit has its own staff, and his job majorly is to audit the financial process and ensure that everything the agency do is in accordance to international best standard and also government regulations. Then the programs department now, which is the largest department in the PPBA, because most of what we do is program oriented and we're always on the field. We have a number of units there. We have the dialogue and mediation. We have the M&E, we have the interfaith, we have gender and youth, we have peace education, and am I leaving anyone else? Okay, also post-conflict rehabilitation and recovery. So these units now, they are mostly the field guys, while the administration finance coordinate from the office to ensure the machine is running smoothly greased. They are on the field. You understand? So right now, I would allow other team leads, since they are here with me, to also speak to their work. Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I'm the team lead mediation and dialogue unit. Of course, your question is like the unit that is doing more. Of course, the agency will operate as a system. So every unit is contributing to the success of each unit. So basically, we cannot say this unit is doing better than this unit. Of course, based on what Mr. Pomak said, I will just speak in respect to our units. So as a mediation and dialogue unit, basically what we do, we gather conflict early warnings from communities through our different structures and platforms. So we have community platforms where we gather our early warning. And then we also help in designing of interventions to address conflict in our communities. So the initiative, we give technical support to the communities. Sometimes we even do facilitate the dialogue session, but in most cases, we just facilitate the process and we allow the communities to do the peace building processes themselves, just to take the ownership. And then we also facilitate community dialogues. We are not waiting for something to happen before we initiate dialogues, but we have these communities sitting, having a dialogue, identifying the potential conflict issues in those communities, and then design some initiative ideas to address those conflict issues. And then we also help the communities in capacity development, where we help them with the skills on how to identify and how to interact, engage, and transform conflicts within their communities. So basically, this is what the mediation and dialogue unit is doing.
Amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will be speaking for peace education because I am the team lead peace education. So in peace education, what we do basically is that we provide awareness. We provide communities, women, children with the skills, attitudes, and also values to handle conflicts non-violently. So in regards to that, we work hand in hand with the Ministry of Education. We also work with National Orientation Agency to see how we can create peace clubs possibly in schools and also teach them how to handle conflict non-violently, like I said. And then also in the communities, we introduce things like community theaters that will make the people see themselves and their problems and also provide possible solution even without the intervention of a third party.
Wow,
Thank you.
that's very important work, yes.
Well, speaking on behalf of the interfaith unit, just like my colleague mentioned earlier, the Plateau State Peacebuilding Agency is like a system that works hand in hand, where each unit is complementing the efforts and the work of our other units. We work together. For interfaith unit, we many a times work together with the strategic communication unit and also the mediation and dialogue unit in ensuring that interfaith messages, peace messages are passed across to the society. And other times we work together with faith leaders, religious institutions in ensuring that in their sermons, they extend the messages of peace, because the agency have realized that many a times religion is used as a symbol for mobilization whenever there are issues of misunderstanding within and outside various communities. Therefore, we are making use of platforms that we have to extend the religious messages, peace messages through religious platforms in order to ensure that peaceful coexistence is there in all our communities and ensuring that nobody sees his own as better than another. We are all equal. What we look after is for people to respect humanity first. You are first of all a human being before associating yourself or attaching yourself to any religion. Therefore, religion should not be seen as a means of dividing, rather should be seen as a means for unity, collaboration, working together in ensuring harmonious coexistence among the adherents of all faiths that we have in the nation. Thank you.
So
Thank
to
you.
add to
That's
what
wonderful. Yes,
to add to
please.
what Pomak said earlier on, the agency has thematic areas. You know, we have natural resource management, post-conflict rehabilitation, peace education, gender and youth. Notwithstanding, based on your question on intensity of maybe activities, I would like to add that most of our interventions and engagements center around conflict rehabilitation, conflict mediation, gender and youth, and also peace education. And just like my other colleagues rightly mentioned, our works are complementary and they are quite cross-carpeting. So for the fact that an engagement is going on in maybe a locality, you find that there's a presence of security because there's security aspect of every engagement. But basically what we do in my unit is safeguard of lives and property, most especially that of our staffs in the agency. And the unit is also saddled with the responsibility of safety, even on the field. We also take risk assessments, risk analysis. We do that on the organization, and we also do it on the field. And sometimes, just like you said, Pomak said that security is under administration. So sometimes we could be involved in mobilization. Sometimes we could be involved in advanced intelligence. For example, if the DG will be going to Abuja, security unit should be the liaison to check if maybe a hotel she's staying will be safe for her, or if we're going on a retreat, we should be able to find out if a hotel is safe and or if a place environment is neutral for the staff to engage in it. So basically, that's what we do in the unit. But most of our works are cross-carpeting, just like I said. And for example, even we have engagement, is the ICT team that will ensure that our engagements are on the website. So you see that every unit is quite important in the agency.
That is very helpful. Thank you very much for correcting. Yes, please. Sorry, go on, please. Sorry, go on.
Right, I want to speak on behalf of the Gender and Youth Development
Yes,
Unit.
that is
So
very
what we
helpful.
do in
Thank
that
you.
unit, okay. So what we actually do in that unit is to mainstream gender. We make sure that the women's, young girls, boys, their needs, their perspectives and experiences are both integrated from the design, implementation, and policies. From the design, the implementation and monitoring, evaluation, and policies, programs, and projects so that everyone benefits equally. So that's basically what we do in the Gender and Youth Development Units. Thank you.
Amazing. Sorry for trying to cut you out there. That wasn't intended. I was probably just enjoying what I was listening to, and then I became impatient. I should have waited for you to finish. Yeah, but there are a few things I could say in response to the amazing responses you've made. But I'm going to try to make sure that I don't miss out some of these that are very important. So one is, just as you were speaking, I was thinking, wow, what a complex structure this is that's been set up for peace. Like I was thinking, this is massive. Like I don't know. I guess you guys agree with me, but I thought this is huge, isn't it? A structure. The Plateau State Peacebuilding Agency is quite complex as an organization, and this has been developed just to ensure that people live peacefully, people pursue their dreams in a safe environment, and people realize their own personal expectations wherever they are, no matter who they are, where they belong. It is a wonderful thing. Is that something you agree with? Yes. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. I thought this was, wow, that's enormous. And then I thought again, wow, this is a great complementary work happening between Christians and Muslims. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but so the way Nigeria is depicted at times as a place is kind of made up of divided sets of communities, and this some are Christian, some are Muslim, and it's very difficult for them to get along, and it's very difficult for them to pursue set goals together in ways that seek effectiveness and things like the way you're doing. I think you've kind of just very easily demonstrated how untrue this kind of depiction is. And yeah, that's the other idea I was getting as you were speaking. I thought this is wonderful. This is a great example of interreligious collaboration for peace happening in our own Plateau State.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe by way of reaffirming your thought.
Yeah.
Nigeria is actually seen as a religious country, even though its people many a times were regarded as not godly. Why I said not godly is because most of the crises we had in the country, initial stages would describe it as something else, but as it moves along, it turned out to be a religious crisis. That is why people were regarded as not being religious or not being godly in some point. But the notion or the impression that we always have is that conflict is neither for Islam or for Christianity, because conflict does not differentiate when it comes. It does not differentiate who goes to mosque or who goes to church. It affects everybody. And that is why we regarded peaceful coexistence or peace building as everybody's job. Is for me, being a Muslim, is as well for my colleague being a Christian. We must come together just like we are doing, coming together both within the agency and even in our communities. There is no single community that we will go in and say we are there to work for only a particular set of religion. We enter into a community, we bring Muslim and Christians together because the community is for them. The peace building is for everybody. They are the ones to come together to unite, collaborate, and ensure that lasting peace is sustained in their various communities. That is what we do, and that is what we believe in. And we will continue to preach the gospel of peaceful coexistence across religious divides or religious differences, rather. We don't even regard it as divide. It's just a mere difference that has nothing to do with our peaceful coexistence as a nation. Thank you very much.
To also add to what my colleague has said,
Thank
you
you.
made mention of how Nigeria is being painted along lines of polarization of religious lines. Well, yes, Nigeria have a history of conflict, especially Plateau Jos. Yes, I recall the conflicts of 2001, 2008, 2014. But after those conflicts now, there are, commission of inquiries that were set, and most of the causes of this crisis were criminal in nature. There are activities of these criminal elements then to, like a way of hiding themselves so that the law will not catch up with them. They try to paint it as a religious conflict. So, and also the media, on the other hand, doesn't, do justice to what is happening, because there are media outlets or media stations that, because they want to be on the front line, they want their name to fly. They are just in a haste to say this is a religious conflict. Like 2 years ago, I was in town, the terminus area, we call it the town area now. And all over the media space, there was this mention that there is a bomb blast. And I was there was never a bomb blast. So you see how the media also paints things to a religious line when there is not.
Yes.
And like we say, one of the things we do at the agency is preach the gospel of freedom of religious belief. In fact, we just concluded a project, GISRA project. You understand? And the bane of the project is freedom of religious beliefs. You understand? And what some of the things we do is sensitization. We try to sensitize the local communities, because for the layman and the man who is not well educated, once he hears something along religious line, it brings out certain emotions in him. So we try to let them understand that not everything is religious. Most of these things are criminal in nature. And except the law catches up with them and justice is being served, a lot of people feel on the disadvantage. So these are some of the things we do. And I want to call on my colleague, the team lead for mediation. He has also done a lot in that line. Maybe he will also add to some of these things we are saying.
Thank you.
So based on the context of Plateau State, or let me be specific to Plateau State because that's where we work. We have the kind of diversity that we have in religion is something that have ethnic lines as well. So you have an ethnic group who is like 80%, 100% a particular religion. So when a conflict arises between the two, even if it is an ethnic groups, the two groups that are predominantly belonging to different tribes, different religious background. So the other groups who are aligned to their religion feel like being like they will not sit down and look at the objectivity of what they want to do. So they would only go in supporting of someone who is have a little alliance with them. So that's why in most cases we have in communities we have ethnic conflict. So before you know it, it will now transform to the religious conflict, because you will discover that the ethnic groups belong to a particular religious affiliation. So what we do at the agency, we ensure that we design initiatives that are informed by the realities on the ground. So what we do before we design any intervention, we carry out assessment to carry along all the critical stakeholders. So we do a lot of interventions that are, just like we said, the units are complementing to each other. So we facilitate interreligious dialogues. So you know, it's something that have to do with the interfaith unit, but it's also on that dialogue and mediation. So this is what we do. So currently, like in the past 3 days, we have been struggling with an issue that have to do with this. Of course, it started in the community where there are attacks on communities that is looking like something that is ethnic in nature. But before you know it, it escalated. Some people were attacked because of their alliance to a particular ethnic group in terms of religion. So basically, these are the challenges that we are facing with the religious conflict.
Okay, to say a little concerning all that have been said so far, you know, Plateau State has about 53 ethnic groups, and then it is hosting also ethnic groups around the country. And like the governor, His Excellency, will always say, no matter where you come from, as far as you are in Plateau State, we speak one language, and that language is peace. And that is why one of the fundamental roles of the agency is to promote a culture of peace and also promote social coexistence among ethnic groups. And this is achieved most times through multi-level and also multi-stakeholder engagements whose goals are preventing conflicts, either the existing ones or the ones that are yet to happen. Yeah.
And also to cap it, sir, I did mention that we just did our 10-year anniversary, and part of what we did was harvesting success stories, right? So I mentioned the history of religious conflict in Plateau State, that's 2001, 2018 to 14. And this actually gave birth to what we call segregated communities. What does that mean? Is that before then, Christian Muslims were living together. I'm speaking now with reference to the Just North local government area of Plateau State, because it has witnessed this. But after the crisis, then, you know, you find Christians living in this particular locality, Muslims living in this particular, that is the communities are now segregated. But with the interventions of the Plateau Peacebuilding Agency and other complementary agencies, as well as activities of NGOs and INGOs, because peacebuilding cannot take the credit alone. Part of the success story we got is that for communities, some communities that were predominantly Christian, you now find a mixture of Christian and Muslims there. The same thing for some communities that were predominantly Muslim communities, you now find a mixture. And there was this thing they used to call no-go areas. What that means is that for a Christian man, you can't go to a Muslim area because you are afraid for your safety. For a Muslim man, you can't go to a Christian area because you are afraid for your safety. But now we no longer have these things existing. And you see, this also speaks to the effort and also how the people have keyed into the initiative of mutual coexistence.
Wow. So these segregated communities or areas are somehow shrinking in terms of they're becoming more mixed.
Yes. And it's a huge success.
It is. It is huge because segregation isn't. I don't understand how it would be good for Plateau State or any state in Nigeria to have such segregated communities or to have them expanding so that segregation expands or continues. That shouldn't help or enable peace in any way. So that is a huge success for sure. Thank you for telling me this and, of course, informing our viewers, because this is very important work that has to be supported as much as possible. I don't know how much myself can support it, but I need to think more about the little things I can bring in support of the agency. I'm just trying to imagine as well what it's like to operate your hotlines. So I've kind of read about this on your website, and I've just tried to imagine it because I've never had one in my office or somewhere, but you guys have. So what is it like? So do you get phone calls on these lines, and what happens when it comes ordinarily?
Okay, to speak to that, our hotlines are used for incident reporting and then early warning signs from the grassroots, because we cannot be everywhere. So we
Yes.
have community structures that usually report to us. Then the agency can now think about ways of probably going for assessment to prove if the information reaching us is actually true.
Hmm. So there
So
could
to
be
add to
cases where yes, please go on.
sorry to cut you
Yeah,
short. To
no
add to what
problem.
she said, the incident reports and early warning we receive, and we have what we call a situation room, a security situation room, where we confirm if those incidences are actually real and true. So from there, we escalate it to appropriate authorities within the agency. And the challenges of the hotline, though is working and functioning, the only challenge we have is it's not a toll-free hotline. So you find that people pay charges to call. And maybe because of that, sometimes the calls could be led to an individual that is known by those stakeholders in the communities. For example, instead of calling the hotline, they could send a message to Aminu, who is the head of mediation and dialogue, because he works directly with them at the community level. They just send a text message directly to him. Though we also have those calling, but that is one of the challenge we have with the hotline. But the hotlines are functioning, and we get reports from people sometimes from the lines we have.
Wow, I see. So are there cases where the reports you get are misleading, maybe, or are not accurate?
Definitely, sometimes some cases could be inaccurate or incomplete. So that's why we verify. Just like I said, we have a security situation room where we verify those kind of incidences. And within ourselves, and we have agencies, not just like, for example, in the agency, we have the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. We also have the director. So these are channels where they are all liaisons, and they are
Yeah.
channels where we confirm if those incidences are real or if they are not real, and we escalate it. If it's real, we act upon it, and if it's not real, we de-escalate.
Okay, just to add little to that.
Yeah.
So we have, yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes, please.
Okay, so part of what we do at the agency, we believe that like most of these things are happening at the grassroots. So we have local structures where we have representatives from these grassroots communities in that local platforms. So one of the platforms that we have is the Community Peace Architecture Forum. So what we do is that when we have this kind of information, we try to engage with our local peace structures at that communities to verify those incidents, whether the early warnings are real or they are fake. And we also encourage people. In some cases, they will tell them that when you are not sure of an information, you don't pass it. But for us, we encourage them, but just report it the way it comes. don't report it to tell us that yes, you are sure this is what is happening, but just report it as a hearsay. So it will be very important for us because we will have other means of vetting or verifying this kind of information. And what we also do with this information in our platforms, local community platforms, we have the presence of the conventional and the local security. So some of these early warning, they escalate them through their own platforms, and then those security agencies, they help in either repelling some of these conflict that are these early warnings. Some of them, they engage with other stakeholders to see how they can mitigate the happening of the early warning.
In
Wow.
essence, all what
Yes.
they say is that the agency's approach is rather non-kinetic. And what it does is that any incidents or any early warning report it receives, first of all, like they mentioned, it verify the authenticity, the validity of the report, and then it refer it to the appropriate agency for proper action, whether kinetic or non-kinetic. Because the agency, like I said, is a non-kinetic approach, but it works hand in hand with the kinetic approaches, that is the agencies that are appropriate to do that. Any report that the agency receives, it channels it to the appropriate agency for proper mitigation strategy to take place immediately. This is one of the collaborative ways of agencies achieving its success through the help of other sister organizations. Thank you.
So to
Thank
add to
you.
this,
Yes, please.
okay, talking about structures and architectures, the Plateau State Peacebuilding Agency is a government institution that is non-partisan, and it serves as a dedicated institutional framework for coordinating conflict prevention and peace-building efforts across the states. So for the past 10 years, the agency has focused on building trust, strengthening systems, and mainstreaming peace building so that it is proactive and not just reactive. So what makes this agency unique is that it serves as a working model. Other states have come on learning visits to understudy our structure and our community-based peace architecture. So the states, the Plateau State government, did not just build an institution, but a replicable framework for sustaining peace. So you see, we just celebrated our 10th year anniversary.
Yes.
A decade of building peace together, 10 years of strengthening systems and building trust, and demonstrating that peace is possible when it is nurtured intentionally. So at the heart of the work we do is a clear vision to build a stable, a united and all-inclusive Plateau State that is at peace with itself and the rest of the world. And that mandate is what guides everything we do in the agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this information. I guess one thing I could just ask in response is, because you've actually already pointed to some of this, but what are some of the challenges you would like us to recognize that you're having as an organization? So in this important work you're doing, I can imagine there are setbacks perhaps you've had to deal with in the past, some that you think might even come your way in the next few weeks or months as you deal with some of the cases that have emerged recently. What could some of these challenges be? So you've mentioned the one with the hotlines and the tolls. I guess that is one. You've also mentioned some safety-related arrangements that you make. So of course, you try to ensure that the members of the team generally are safe when they are working in the field. I guess there might be some issues as well related to that, which you could talk about. But overall, what are some of these major challenges?
Okay, I think we will respond to it randomly because since different units are there, everyone may have his own peculiar kind of challenge. Well, some of the challenges, that's not all, but some of it, we have what we call peace spoilers. That is conflict merchants. Because whether we like it or not, there are people who benefit when the state is at war. You understand? Maybe these are armed dealers, or maybe sometimes mining people that are into mining. Because when you have displaced people in a particular community, nobody will own up to the land, so they are free to mine at will. So, because we find out instances whereby you have facilitated dialogue for maybe 2-3 months, sometimes even a year, and you have started recording your successes, then before you know, overnight, you hear that there's an attack. And that attack are usually criminal in nature, because you find out that unknown gunmen enter into particular people and kill 7, 8, 3 people who have not done nothing to them. So we usually call these peace spoilers, because we also have an incident whereby we just finished a dialogue in the city area in Jos, and people are going back to their villages and they were attacked on the road. Who did the attack? We don't know. The motive behind that, we don't know, and we cannot see. So you see, those kind of things draw us backwards, years back, years of progress. Because, you know, like the peace work is not like a mechanical engineer or a structural engineer, whereby you build the house, you come back after 2-3 years to see the house. But this is more like a qualitative approach. You are speaking to people's attitudes, you know, people's emotion, people's tolerance towards one another. You are trying to build social coherence. So, you know, this is something you cannot see. You understand? So, and there are people who were not part of your process. They have not investigated to see the success story you have recorded. They just go and start spreading false information and saying you are doing nothing. So they are trying to undermine your efforts. You see, these kind of things, we don't find it easy, especially to some of us that are going on the field. And also we have these people that are fond of spreading hate speeches and dangerous narratives to teens. Someone in Lagos who is not in Jos, something is happening in Jos, or it has not happened, but he's spreading a news from Lagos and he has not seen what is happening. Like when I mentioned, there was a time, like 2 years back, I was in town in the terminus area, and then all over the news was, there was a bomb blast at where I was, and nothing of such nature
There was
happened.
nothing.
Yes. So you see, these kind of people spreading false narratives and false news to teens, you know, they don't really do us good. Right? And some of the challenges I would say is that, you know, like we will say knowledge, you know, you can never get it all, right? You have to keep on building and expanding your knowledge. So I think we also need, you know, more capacity building, because I can't say that our capacity is at its peak, even though we are doing very good, right? But we also need more capacity building, because the world is ever evolving. We need to catch up to, you know, global best practices when it comes to the field of peace building, and you know, and also when you are doing the peace work, right? There are people whose livelihood are being affected, maybe a displaced community. You cannot always come down there and preach peace to them. What would they eat overnight? So most of these people need their source of livelihood to be, you know, to like give it back to them, so that they can also go back to the way they were living. Not that you come and tell them, please tolerate each other, and you leave them hungry. So we need some form of humanitarian, and beyond the humanitarian, because there is a limit to what you can do on the field. Like I come and give you food that will sustain you for a week. What happens after that? We also need to build their capacity in terms of economic empowerment, something that is sustainable. Beyond that 1 week, they can be able to fend for themselves. Farmers, they can be able to go back to their farms. So beyond the dialogue, the capacity, we also need humanitarian. Apart from that, we also need economic empowerment. And what does that entails? Aside from material support, also entails funding. Because funding can never be enough, especially when you're dealing with displaced and affected populations.
Yes.
So I think I'll allow my other colleagues to add up to what I just said.
Thank you. Thank you.
Adding to the challenges faced in this our endeavor, particularly with regards to the interfaith unit, you see, part of the challenges, like my colleague mentioned, there are peace spoilers. A saying goes in Arabic that ما كنت تبنيه وغيرك يهدمه لا يختتم. In other words, what you are building and someone is destroying, you will never complete it. When you are erecting a building, you are laying your blocks in a beautiful manner, and then over the night, somebody will just come and remove from such blocks that you have laid there. Tomorrow, when you come in the morning, you have to relay such blocks. That is why we are having this difficulty in getting to where we want to be. But by and large, we are moving and we are making success. So such peace spoilers are there, even amongst the religious leaders, even among the community stakeholders. And these are the people that most times we work together with them, but among them, there are those who do not want peace to stay in their communities. Why? Because it is their shop. If you sustain the peace, if peace is sustained in their communities, it's as if their shop is closed down. So they will always find ways of ensuring that conflict is there so that interventions will keep coming. And then they will also continue to benefit from that. It's another challenge that this venture comes along together with. And then the issue of knowledge of religion. Many adherents of both religions need to be well equipped with the knowledge of their religions, because none of these religions preach violence. But people are making use of such platforms to create mistrust, distrust, and then misunderstanding.
Yes.
But if religious knowledge is there, people will know what it entails, what it is there, what are the provisions of their various religions towards somebody who is not in that religion. In other words, your neighbor. Like in Islam, none of you is a believer until he respects and protects the interests of his neighbor. People need to be aware of this. So also in the Christianity, people need to be aware of this. The teachings of our various religions will go a long way in alleviating many of these challenges that people encounter. And then to add to what my colleague mentioned, this issue of poverty.
Yes.
It's a challenge, it's a global challenge, and then it's also part of the challenges that we at the agency are facing and also working tirelessly to address in the society. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
in brief terms, I think one of the major challenges that we face here as an agency while building peace in communities is the activities of criminals. So you will have a community like the criminal element are the triggers to conflict. In some cases, you have communities that were attacked just on the basis of some people stole cattle and passed through those communities. So you see, these are the activities of criminals. We have a community that was attacked just because somebody was kidnapped in that community. So the activities of this criminal element, and then based on the experiences people have. So the issue of stereotyping is there. The issue of generalization is there. So when something happened, if the victim happened to be from this group, so the conclusion is that it's the other group that that did that crime. So what will happen if the community doesn't have that resilience? So it will end up causing a further violence. So these are the challenges that we have, and as an organization, we work with different organizations. It's a work that we cannot achieve on our own. We have a coordinating role. The coordinating role here implies that any organization that is coming to implement peace building programs in the plateau have to come through the agency, just for us to be aware of what they are doing, and we also give our technical advice on how to do it. But some organization, they will come, they will do their implementation and go. You will end up having a duplication of effort in some communities while other communities are lagging behind. So this is one of the other challenges, because like the resources that are coming to Plateau in the name of peace building interventions, if it is well coordinated, I think we should have gone further than this.
Yeah.
So I have something to add to what Aminu just said concerning coordination role of the agency.
Yes.
I think one of the
Yes.
challenges, just like he rightly said, is agencies, INGOs coming into the state and not reckoning with the agency on time, which speaks to duplication of effort. So if the agency is in 17 local government, for example, and we have structures there, and one of the recommendations we got recently from our local community was that the kind of structures we have at the local ward, they want it at the ward level. So that means they want it at the, the grassroots, not just the local government. That work is kind of enormous. So the agency needs a lot of support, partnership, collaboration with all these INGOs, instead of them coming in, without notice, going into communities and just replicating efforts, duplicating functions. I think a lot of, if they partner and they collaborate with us a lot, it will save us time and maybe lots of money. And most of these people, local community people at the grassroots, need to learn to know about even the early warning indicators. Some of them have challenge. They don't even know the indicators. And Plateau is quite unique. Every community is context specific. So a challenge or an indicator of one community can be different from that of another community. So if these people are not aware or are not trained or their capacity is not built for them to be able to indicate that maybe when you see a mass movement, you report it, that's an early warning, is quite a challenge because if we do it with it at the local government level and we leave the world level, we are just doing one part of it and the other part is left. And the most important part is the world level. And it also speaks to financing that Puma spoke of, and because for you to achieve peace or prevent peace, you need finances. So it's one of the challenges too now we have.
Okay, I would want to add up to just a little on what she has said. From the year 2001 till now, you will notice that children who are about 20 years to 23 years are now youths. And these are people that have grown to know that it is one conflict or the other arising from the states, unlike the older ones that have experienced the one-time peaceful plateau. They do not know. When you're talking about peaceful plateau, they don't even understand it, because right from the time they were giving birth to, it has been from one conflict to another. If it's not their community, it's probably another community. If it's not their local government, it's probably happening in another local government. So the agency saw this as a challenge, because you need to teach them, you need to provide them with the knowledge of what it means to live in peace, what it means to live to live in tolerance with other religions. So the agency for over 2 years now usually bring 200 to 300 youths together in a camp, youths from different religions, to stay together. We provide them with the knowledge of social cohesion, things that they have never seen happen, especially those staying in segregated communities. But we bring them together in a neutral environment to sleep together, eat together, and also share ideas together about how they can also live in peace when they go back to their various communities, and also tolerate each other irrespective of their religion. We call it Generation Peace Youth Camp. So this takes place every year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Generation Youth Peace Camp.
Yes.
And it is progressing well, you would say. Yes. I was going to come back to you because I know you haven't spoken. It's the Generation Peace Youth Camp that I found interesting.
So yes,
Yes,
That's
yes.
the camping activity, Generation Peace Youth Camp. But when we finally graduated, they are called Generation Peace Ambassadors. Peace Ambassadors. Do you get that?
Generation Peace
Peace
Ambassadors.
Ambassadors. Yes.
So right now in the Plateau, we have more than 700 peace ambassadors across 17 local governments of Plateau State.
I see. So they are peace ambassadors.
Yes.
And in terms of the future, it's expected to continue as well, the program, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, that is, yeah, that is actually very, very interesting to know as well. Generation Peace, Peace Ambassadors. Yeah, and I think by considering some of the challenges, we've already kind of pointed to some of the recommendations, yeah, we might have for not just the Plateau State population, but also the Nigerian authorities outside Plateau State. But perhaps to conclude, if there are final words you might want to share with the people of Plateau State or fellow Nigerians, the people of Plateau State or fellow Nigerians or Africans, or even your fellow peace builders in Plateau State. Just as a way of finishing the conversation, which I think has been very rich because we've actually considered very important issues about your work, but also the challenges and some of the things everyone should know about the good things you're doing. So are there any final words you would like to share? And when you finish, I guess, yeah, we'll thank each other and say goodbye and meet again next time. I'm sure we're gonna have another conversation like this.
Well, from my end, the final word for me will be peace is cheaper than war. Because
Yeah.
globally, the world is at war, whether we like it or not. You go to Europe, go to the Middle East, come down to Africa, South America, wherever you go, you find conflict between countries, between communities, between states, and check the cost of those wars and the cost of even just feeding people. There is a huge difference. You know, military budget, defense budget keep on increasing. So
Yes.
if I would give a final word is peace is cheaper than war. Let's invest in peace building and conflict resolution. Thank you.
Okay, my parting words goes like this. This says, the more we bleed in peace, the less we bleed in war. So when we sweat more in peace building, we will actually bleed less in war. And again, we knew that people were hurt and wounded, but it's possible to have healing through forgiveness. So we should forgive one another. We should heal that wound that would give an opportunity for peaceful coexistence and better harmony and good relationship within our various communities. Thank you very much.
Okay. I would say that conflict is inevitable, but let's learn to handle it non-violently. Thank you.
Okay, I would like the whole world to know that, yes, we have challenges in Plateau, but Plateau is related with peace. So we have people who will tell you that they don't want to come to Plateau for one reason or the other, but Plateau is peaceful. So the evidence to this is that the Plateau last year hosted a Luga Games. They hosted the entire universities of Nigeria and it was peaceful. And then they also hosted the national Quranic competition, and it went well. There were no challenges. And then we also have the Christmas Carol that was hosted by the Plateau. It happened, there was no any issue. So that's to tell everyone that Plateau is peaceful, and then we have challenges, but we are resilient to those challenges. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my closing line will be that Peace building is not a one-time event. It is a continuous commitment. For me, it is about people, real communities, real futures, and that when peace is nurtured intentionally, it can be sustained. And that is the work we are all about in the Plateau State Peacebuilding Agency. Thank you.
Thank you.
And my final but not the last remarks is Nigeria and the agency needs partnership that strengthen peace, protect civilians, and have respect for our complex realities. Thank you.
Thank you. You all are very good with your final words, and I've been thinking about ways to structure mine. I guess yeah, maybe I haven't succeeded, to be honest. But I think maybe my final word is just about yourselves. Just to say that indeed I have a lot of respect for what you're doing, and I hope that our viewers also recognize just the deep value of the work you're doing. So like I teach, and then I do research and all these things, and at times I'm like thinking, how much impact am I actually making? And yourselves, you're like doing the work, you're shaping these attitudes and helping resolve this conflict very directly. So if I were to compare the relevance of what I'm doing with yours, oh yeah, I think I know who is doing the more important work. It wouldn't be myself. So I have great respect for what you're doing. And I am going to hope, I will still hope that somehow I will do more to support this good work personally. Yeah, but thank you for your time, really, and thank you for opening your heart to inform us of what you're doing.
Thank you so much.